Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast. Shortly, we'll be joined by Seán McGowan, who releases his new album, Who on Earth, on April the 14th. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Well, welcome Seán McGowan to the Full Pelt Music Podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you on. How are you this evening?
Very good, thank you, mate. Yeah, just finished work, so I'm coming back to life now.
Yeah,
I had a little sit down on the sofa a minute ago, and I sort of felt my head going, but I'm all right now. All good.
Bless you. Good day, I hope.
Yeah, always a good day, man. Always
Excellent. Yeah, love it. And obviously, you've got a few good days coming up because we've got some good stuff to talk about. Obviously, a new album coming out, and a real proper tour of the UK as well. Not just one of those tours that hits like a few of the major cities. You're properly going for it, which is fantastic. We'll start off by speaking about Casanova, though, because that's your most recent pre-release single that is literally just come out ahead of the album. So what can you tell us about the single? You know, what is Casanova about, as it were?
Well, I think it's kind of like I'm a big Springsteen fan anyway, but I felt like I'd been flirting with a Springsteen-esque song for a while now, and I've probably come close before, but I just kind of, as soon as I'd written the chorus, I could hear the keys, I could hear the sax, and it just sort of made sense. So I guess it came together quite easily, really, and it felt like it was the right time to sort of throw the kitchen sink, as it were, at it, you know. But also as well, that song, I guess I've been toying with the idea lyrically for a couple of years as well, in terms of it's just observation, as is everything I write, to be honest with you. But it's just observation, and it kind of felt like I don't know. There's been a big shift, sort of just pre-COVID. That's continued in terms of like stylistically, culturally, subculturally, and I found it quite interesting. And just wanted to tackle it, I guess. And I thought, if we're going to tackle something like that, might as well do it pretending to be Bruce Springsteen, don't I?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that is something I've always loved, about your work. The lyrical content is always so kind of real and down to earth, as it were. Obviously, the three singles that have come from the album so far, Man Up, On the Up, and obviously Casanova, certainly show that that element of your artistic side hasn't gone away. And obviously, I'm really looking forward to hearing the album, as I'm sure everyone listening to the podcast will be as well.
Thanks very much, mate.
Yeah. So Who on Earth?
Come on more often with these compliments.
Bless you. So obviously, Who on Earth is out very soon as we talk. So April the 14th it's out. So by the time listeners hear this, it may well be out already. But for those that have perhaps not heard the full album yet, what can they expect then? Is it as it were, it always sounds a bit derogative, more of the same of obviously where you've been, but obviously with Casanova, you have shown an expansion of the sound that you're putting out there. So what should listeners expect from Who on Earth?
I think when I was writing these songs, I was conscious of being a little bit more precise in my writing. I know what I'll go on and on and on, basically, and then that's me in life, me trying to explain something as you're about to find out now. But also just that was sort of reflected in the music, which wasn't necessarily an issue, but I found myself like finding it difficult. Like I find engaging in something for a length period of time quite difficult anyway. So I wanted to sort of be kind of just a little bit more precise, and a little bit more to the point on a lot of things. I felt like some of my writing as well, I kind of felt like I was getting into a world of I can write more lyrics than anyone else. I can make things rhyme that shouldn't rhyme. And it felt like, it's just, I don't know, it felt like a bit of a wanker a lot of the time. Do you know what I mean? And then playing them live as I'm getting older and fatter is a lot harder, like to get them all out. So I think a lot of what was going through my mind, and like, I guess kind of artistically, as wanky as that sounds, was running this record, was to make it a little bit more to the point and a little bit more I don't know, just a little bit more digestive, easier to digest. And so when we, like, for instance, with the production, we went with Neil Kennedy at the Ranch, who's a good friend of mine and has been for many years, but we hadn't worked together prior to that. And he's done loads of bands. Creeper, he did Creeper's first record, who are also good friends of mine. So it just kind of, do you know what I mean? It just came around full circle. And when I was speaking to Neil, I was, one of the things I said is I wanted, every record I've ever made has been made with the attitude, not necessarily by me, but by sort of a production sort of view, has been kind of, right, let's keep it raw, let's keep it, exactly like the live show. And I was just like, well, I've got the live show for the live show.
Yeah.
I want to make an album that I'm going to listen to in 10 years and it's not going to make me cringe or anything like that. So production wise, it's bigger. It's bigger. The soundscape's bigger. There's more. The instrumentation is better. I've explored with using my head voice and trying to get different performance out of me that I haven't really put on record before. I guess it is, I know it's cliche to say, but it's just a sort of matured sound and a little bit more risky in certain areas, and a little bit more I don't know, just a little bit. I've been doing this a long time. It's difficult to stay interested, and it's definitely difficult to stay motivated. So I wanted to make the album that I wanted to make, and sort of not even really think for a second what other people would think about it, and then just hope that we meet somewhere along the line and they think it's all right.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's important, really, to, like, as you put it, make the music that you want to make, and not necessarily worry about other people, because just it's a good philosophy in all walks of life, really. Don't worry about what other people are thinking, and do what you want to do. And really interesting as well that you touched upon, obviously, with the fuller expanded sort of sound, and obviously being more adventurous, as it were. Obviously, when you play live, often you are accompanied by a band, but of course occasionally it's just you and a guitar up there. So I was going to ask around, when you are writing a new album, how much thought has to go into how can I play this song live? But clearly that's something that you've sort of considered and almost sort of put to one side for this record.
Just didn't think about it. Which is a ball ache now, but especially the stuff like at the higher end of my range. Like we what was it, we played a gig in December, we were in rehearsals, and I think On the Up was out, and we were rehearsing On the Up, and I was singing it. I was like, oh fuck, I can't sing this. Like, it is right up there. And you had that sort of like, well, I know I can sing it because I sing it on the record. I must be able to do it. And it took me a little while to be able to get comfortable in that, that higher end of my register. And but that's sort of what it's about. That's interesting. I rehearse then. Like I say, when you've been doing it for as long as I have, and also haven't released in as long as I have, it's the same. You're regurgitating the same songs. You know, it's muscle memory, and you're comfortable, and everything is sort of, you know, is I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's, you know, on the easier end of a complexity scale, you know. So even that's been enjoyable. and we've been in rehearsing for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks or something prior to this tour. And I'm just finding things like, even with the guitar, where I haven't been playing as much guitar as I used to. Now I'm working full time and all the rest of it, so like even things like that, I'm like, my dexterity is not as good as it was, so it's like I have to work, like I'm working. I'm practicing, and I'm enjoying it. And I think that's something that I think some of the enjoyment had just probably, it was over COVID, so I couldn't play anyway, but I think a lot of the enjoyment sort of disappeared from it for me then. And thankfully been able to sort of, through this process of doing the job that it is sort of come back to me, which has been refreshing.
Yeah, and it's really nice to hear. And obviously it is a really tough industry at the best of times, but of course COVID and the effects that COVID and even other things like Brexit have had on the music industry have made it really, really tough. And obviously, realistically, it was a big decision for you to record and put out an album in this climate, realistically. So I mean, I don't know if you are able just to talk around that decision, a little bit about how you decided to, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, really, but in hindsight, but yeah, to be quite honest, what we did was I was with a label before, and I had the album ready to go, and I knew how I wanted to record it, and I knew we couldn't do it on the cheap. I knew we had to, spend more than we were used to spending, and we'd have to take risks and stuff. And obviously it was COVID time, so cash flow for everyone was didn't exist, did it?
Yeah. So
I decided to basically go independent, and I was kind of thinking, I turned 30 in February, and I knew like there was going to be a point at some, in the next few years where I was going to have to I was going to have to pay bills, I've been paying bills for a long time, but you know what I mean. I was going to have to sort of grow up and act on that, rather than just thinking, everything's going to be okay. So I had that in the back of my mind, and I thought, right, I've got potentially one last go at this. It's either going to be the first album of the rest of my career, or it's going to be, the last album I ever make. So I wanted to do it in a certain way, and I wanted to have no regrets. So so I made decisions to go into independent, which then brings its other challenges, because then you have cash flow issues. So like for instance, we recorded everything, the budget was gone, then we sort of waited. We recorded in 2021, so it's taken that long to be in a position where I've basically used my mortgage savings, which my girlfriend is delighted about.
I'm sure.
So I've used my savings to fund everything, basically. So it's loaded now. There's so much more pressure on it. Vinyl is expensive, CDs are expensive, merch expensive, and everything is more expensive than it was last time round. So it's difficult, and hotels are now more expensive. Fuel's now more expensive. Fees on tour worse than they were. Commissions that you get from are now more than they were, so you earn less and have more costs. So it is a bit stupid, really, to I've not made it easy for myself, but I kind of thought I was in a position where I don't think I'd be able to live with myself not doing it, not having a punt. So like I get that, mate. I put in hotels on Klarna and stuff like that, like for this tour, and I don't like. It's quite funny, because I was sort of toying the ideas, like, would I even like mention that to anyone? And I kind of think it's important, because like I've had no like real success or anything in my career on a industry sort of level, but I've done things I never imagined I'd ever be able to do, and had the best time ever. And so in my eyes, I've had, more success than I ever thought I'd have. And I think it's quite easy to, to read into perception as opposed to what the reality is. And I feel like, there's so many people that tune themselves up or feel, that they're not reaching where they should, or whatever it may be. And it's kind of like, well, it's, I've been doing this professionally since I was 17, and that's like 13 years now I've had doing this as a job. And it's I've never once been able to live comfortably.
Yeah.
And that's not an issue. That's not me crying about it. I always knew that. But that's I think that's just a reality that a lot of other people didn't realize was true, so yeah. And then obviously with Brexit and everything else, it's and costs at home getting more expensive, energy bills and all the rest of it. It's it all takes a hit. And then you've got another thing where ticket sales are down from previous years. So you've basically got everything single thing that could be against you is against you. And that, that's the way it is. And it's kind of, I don't know, I'm always in two minds about this, because I'm kind of like, well, it shouldn't be this way, for one. But I'm also like, well, I decided to put a record out and go on tour, so suck it up and get on with it, And it's always, I'm always teetering. One day, if it's a good day, I can be confident. If it's a bad day, it's a panic. But yeah, so it's been difficult, to be honest with you. Really, really difficult. But it's money, it comes and goes, doesn't it? It's like whatever. So save again, I guess, go back to work. But no,
I mean, it is brutal out there for everyone, no matter what walk of life, or what your chosen career is. I mean, obviously the music industry, as you described, it's a perfect storm at the moment. Every single thing that could be against you is against you, and obviously it's really refreshingly honest of you to talk about it so candidly. And this obviously a really important sort of thing that I tried to get across is we're all short of money. The fans are short of money, and obviously the price of an arena ticket to go see a big band these days is extortionate. And all I would do is encourage people, instead of doing that, just pop along to 2 or 3, smaller shows at your local venue. Save on the travel money, save on, that big ticket, and you can catch, a few shows for a fraction of that price. And obviously it's going to be helping out, the grassroots of the industry, both in terms of artists and venues and everything that goes around from that. So I mean, that is a key thing that I always try to stress. And obviously a really brave decision from yourself, obviously, to press ahead, and fingers crossed, obviously it's gonna work out.
Brave or stupid, mate. I mean, stupid, but
quite often a fine line between the two, though, isn't there?
Either works for me, man. I'm happy and settled with either.
Excellent. Well, another brave thing that it looks like you did. I'm fascinated by the artwork for the album. So for those that haven't seen it, you'll be able to see it in the sort of bio of this episode and everything. And obviously, if you pop along to Seán's website and purchase a copy of the album, you'll get to see it there as well. But it's obviously yourself with a boxer's glove, a fist coming across. So I mean, how was the shoot for that? And were you actually punched?
Was I actually punched? So we actually shot it in the barbers I work in, and it was quite funny because it was Cameron O'Connell, a good friend of mine, filming it and shooting it. Another good friend, Sam Carter, who's done all my artwork for this campaign, directing it, and then Dean, who plays guitar for me, who is also trained in mixed martial arts, punching me. And so I had the idea. The whole Who on Earth thing, it was came around because there's a song that's not released yet that we'll be focusing on when the album's out which is fucking hell, it's next week. Yeah. So it's titled Who on Earth, and the words were who the fuck prior to Who on Earth, and I was just like, it was just too aggressive, and I was trying to deliver it in different ways, and although the song has there's some sort of aggression in there, it's not, it wasn't coming across right. And then I changed it whilst recording lyrics to Who on Earth, which just felt a little softer, felt a little bit more philosophical, felt a little bit more self-aware. So that's basically how we ended up with the album title, the title for the album and title for that song. And I already had various different ideas for artwork, and I was sort of toying with them. I had a gap at work, and I was sat in the staff room at work, and I was just flicking through Instagram, and I just sort of like, just got me thinking. There was one of those videos, I can't remember what they're called. There's these two Australian guys, and basically it's like a modern day Jackass or something, and they beat the shit out of each other essentially, and it's funny. And I was watching it, I was like, it's kind of funny, but why, like, why would and it was literally going through my head, I was going, this is kind of funny, but why would anyone want to make a living getting hurt? Like, why would anyone make money off getting hurt? And then I just sort of went, oh, I need to get punched in the face for the record. And I sent it off to Sam, who directed everything, as kind of expected him to say, that's weird, no, you're all right. And he just came back and was like, it's perfect, let's do it. And I was just like, huh? Hey? And he was going, mate, it's perfect. He obviously he had been listening to the album and trying to find what he wanted to do creatively with it, with the artwork and stuff. And he was just like, that's what I want. He was basically, he's got that eye, I haven't got the eye. I don't know I haven't got an artistic bone in my body, even in music, to be honest with you. But that's not my thing, and he's really good at it. So he was obviously envisaging it. So anyway, yeah, to answer your question, we shot it in the barbershop after hours, and then when you're trying to get that shot with the skin sort of coming off the skull and the spit and all the rest of it, there's various ways you can shoot that, as I found out. So I got punched, I reckon, over 40 times. He hit me, but Dean is trained in mixed martial arts, so the geezer can throw a punch. But so he started off, gentler, on the gentle side, and he'd go 5% harder, and he'd hit me, and it would be bang on 5% harder than it was before. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then it'd be like 10% harder. And then he was asking me at this time. So bear in mind, I'm getting punched. I then get sprayed down, put some water in my mouth, reset, and then I'll get punched again. It was action, bang, to get. And then the thing that sort of shocked me was I was given the go ahead to the increase in percentages, and then Cameron, who was shooting it, and Sam, who was directing it, started answering for me. It was like 15% harder. They were both like, yeah. I was just sort of stood there, like getting my face punched off here, and you're agreeing it. So anyway, we went on, and the problem is Dean, because he is trained and because he is good, he was hitting me bang on the jaw, bang on the right there every single time, and we needed him to hit me in the cheek to get and he basically just couldn't miss. So I'd say 35 of the 40 times I was punched, it wasn't usable. There was probably only five proper punches, and they were proper punches as well. Yeah. I think there's some video footage we got somewhere. I need to dig that out. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, it did hurt. Not only that, I dropped Dean home because we'd shot it in the evening. I dropped him home. I was driving back across Southampton, and I came to the traffic lights. When you're driving at night, you get the glare off the lights. Yeah. I was just sat at the lights and looked up, waiting, for it to go green, and the glare just like didn't stop coming. And I was just like, then I felt my head. I was just like, oh Jesus, I feel a bit ropey. Then the headache started, and then I got home and had dinner with my girlfriend, and I couldn't even like string a sentence together. I was like punch drunk. It
Yeah,
was
probably had a concussion.
yeah, like mild concussion or something. That's it. I tell you what, it's been a long time since I've been punched in the face, and
Yeah.
I can't believe I did it willingly. But we're very happy with how it turned out. And to be honest with you, it's quite a lot of fun. Dean's worked for me since we were 17, so I mean, probably got a lot of pent up anger. He's probably wanted to punch me quite a few times, so it was good for him. It's cathartic.
Yeah, I can imagine it was. And again, it's that fine line between bravery and stupidity, I guess. But as you say,
Yeah.
the outcome kind of justifies to some extent the means, and it's a fantastic piece of artwork which really catches the eye. And again, obviously, those listening, if you can pick up a copy of it, and you can have a piece of that artwork on the front cover of the vinyl or the CD to keep, and obviously justify Sean's decision. So we'll move on to obviously the live side, and you've got, I say, a proper tour coming up. You're going to be going all across the country and Ireland as well, I believe. So I take it this is going to be an opportunity for listeners to be able to hear some of these new songs live.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're I guess it's probably the set would be about 50-50 of the new album and stuff they're more familiar with, and we've got a little bit of a rotating set, so we're going to be playing, I'm aiming to play a different set, or at least a different order every single night. It's like, I think it's 17 tour shows and 2 festival shows, and 19 shows in total, and we're planning on having a bit of a rotation. So it's gonna be great. I can't wait. And I'm rehearsed. I'm actually rehearsed. I've practiced. I tried really hard. So it's gonna be brilliant, man. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely. And again, obviously, I encourage the listeners to pop along to a show. Best way to find out, obviously, where you're playing these days is across social media. So every podcast, I like to give out the social handles so people can track you down. But of course, the links will be in the bio to the episode anyway. But for those that like me to read them out, on Instagram and Twitter, Seán McGowan UK, and on Facebook, Seán McGowan Music UK. So I'm guessing there's another Seán McGowan UK out there.
No, I think the Facebook came first, and that was it. Because I remember, I don't know actually. Yeah, maybe there is another Seán McGowan out there. He's wicked. He's a jazz guitarist in America. I mean, there's more than one other guy with the same name as me. But I often find I'll turn up at a festival or something, and they've used his photo instead of mine. I was once actually. A label I was working with for the last one, I played their festival, and I was literally about to sign to them, and they put his photo in the program of the festival instead of mine. I was like, guys, come on! I literally had a meeting with you like a week ago. I don't look like that dude. What can you do, man? What can you do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is bad.
Funny though.
It is funny. It is funny. You got to laugh at these things.
Definitely.
So, just to finish off on the tour, obviously you're hitting a load of this country's amazing grassroots venues. Quite a few of which are currently at risk. And obviously we've got organisations like the Music Venue Trust doing fantastic work around that. But just to touch on, for an artist such as yourself, how important are these venues and having that network across the country? How important it is for you?
Yeah, crucial. I worked in one. I worked in the Joiners for nearly a decade. So they're without them, that's it. So it's always I feel like it's always just so easy to throw your support and be throwaway. And the problem I think we've had with being smaller artists, especially over COVID, is we're limited in what we could do in terms of helping, because we had no money, and the limited opportunity we had to make money was to pay our rent rather than fundraise for to sort of do our part basically. So I feel like a lot of artists similar size to me I've been talking to, this is how we do our part. We go on tour And like I said, fees and stuff are down across the boards, and it's going out and still trying it and trying to make it work, and still having a go because well, I'm 30 now, so that's all I've ever, in terms of headline shows, they're the only venues I've ever headlined. I've never been able to sort of go beyond that, and I couldn't sort of be happier than where I'm at, really. You get to meet people and actually form personal relationships rather than, an email here and there, sort of, and then you see them once on the evening, as you do in arena shows or even O2 size shows. So it's just crucial. Most of my best mates work in venues dotted around this country. I'm going to Le Pub, which I've also worked at as well in Newport. Sam and Matt there are great friends of mine. My best mate Ricky, still the promoter at the Joiners. There's just people all over. And DHP, who's putting on our London show and our Nottingham show. It's nuts. Ian down in Pompey. I mean, I'm not going to list everyone,
no.
But it's you do sort of you form relationships. Iwan in Bristol is another good one, actually. For instance, he booked me when I think it was on my first ever headline tour. First or second, no one would give me a chance. No, I couldn't get a show for love nor money. He took it, he lost money. He took the next one, he lost money, and we've stuck with him since, and hopefully he doesn't lose money on this one.
No, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that network is just so important. And you talk about doing your bit, and the last sort of thing that I wanted to talk to you about is something that I felt where you really did your bit, actually. So we've talked about or alluded to COVID during this conversation. So during COVID, you were one of the artists that tried something a bit different, and you put on some live stream shows that people could watch. And obviously I was going to thank you for them, because as a regular gig attendee, obviously COVID just decimated that. Obviously I used to base my weeks on what gigs I had coming up, and I had nothing. So the live streams that yourself and others put on gave structure to my life, certainly, and obviously kept some semblance of live music going for me. So really beneficial for my mental health and for a lot of others I know. So obviously thank you for doing them. But
thank you,
what are your memories of putting them on? Looking back now with maybe slightly rose tinted glasses, because obviously it was a horrible time. But what are your thoughts on them?
Well, it was a strange one, that, because I kept getting emails and stuff for people. So I started later and finished earlier than everyone else who was doing them. And the reason for that is it made me feel uncomfortable doing the whole PayPal thing, and I didn't feel like just doing a Facebook, I didn't feel like it was worth people's money, right? So that at first it was tough because of that, and then it got to a point where I had no money, so it was, well, this is all I can do. And then I found myself in the day of the show like printing off like my PayPal link to hang up, and behind it I was just like, who the fuck am I? Like, do you know what I mean? It was just brutal, man. And then I did the couple, and I was just like, because I was at my mum and dad's house at the time, and I could hear them watching it in the room and like pissing themselves laughing, reading the comments, like people mugging me off and that in the comments. And then after I'd finished the set, after I've like gone off live, I'd then go back and read through all the comments, and it was fucking hilarious. People just ripping the shit out of me for wearing sliders and stuff like that. And it was just so, I don't know, it made me emotional. Do you know what I mean? Because it was just so lovely. And then you'd go through, obviously have to go through like the PayPal stuff, and people would tip you a quid if that's all they had. It didn't fucking matter. But people would leave messages, and it was just like, man, the whole thing was like so lovely. So was trying to go back and email every single person, which took fucking ages, and I was getting like upset doing it. Do you know what I mean? But it was amazing. That part of it was it was just so lovely and rewarding, and I felt like so humbled that people wanted to see me sat in, you know, my mum and dad's dining room, like playing the songs and all the rest of it. But if I am completely and utterly honest, which I always try to be, towards the end, I found it quite depressing. I found it really difficult to the last sort of I think it was the last one I did, and I was just like, I don't think I performed particularly well. I don't think my head wasn't right. I should have pulled it, is what I should have done, but I tried to do it, and it just felt like, I guess in hindsight now, I was so scared that I was never going to be a musician again. And, you know, I was already making plans for to become a barber and to retrain, which I had in the back of, to be honest, I had the back of my mind quite early in COVID that I wanted to learn a trade that people had to come to me. Do you know what I mean? I had to physically be there. So it was a kind of like, it was around the time I think I'd paid like my deposit for the barber course and stuff, and I was just like, oh, this might be it, you know, this might be it for me now. Like, you know, I had left the label, and it was the money was what it was, and I was just like, maybe it's like curtains here. So in the end, my last remaining thought of it on the time scale was I was just depressed, really. But now, however, when I look back at that time, I can look beyond that and see all the comment, you know, think of all the comments of people absolutely ripping the shit out of me. and that's, you know, I played football all my life. I've got my friends. I'm not sure if I have a friend who's ever said anything nice to me. You know, that's not who I am. I try to make things fun, and so, and you know, that's kind of I feel like now I'm back to my same old self. You know, I think I can look back at that and process it a lot better, and see the funny sides of it, and see the incredibly humbling sides of it, and also just like people's generosity. You know, there was I will always look through that time and sort of where I'm at now, being able to make this record and stuff, and that was, you know, the generosity of people I played for, you know, and I think that's something quite as cringe as it might sound, there's something quite magical in that. And just gratitude, really, and laughing at people taking the piss out of me.
Yeah, the comments were absolutely hilarious. Yeah, with the slides.
They're amazing, weren't they?
But equally, the innovation on your part to have the applause play. I used to watch any live stream I could get my hands on, I'd watch. But you were the only one really putting the production in, as it were, like that, which was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I started one. I think it might have been the Titanic theme tune. My Heart Will Go On, or something like that. And their bastards pulled it because obviously it's copyright. And I was just like, oh, what a dickhead. So I let it play for like the 5 minutes, however long it is. And people are just like going, we can't hear anything. We kick it off. We can't hear anything. And I was like, fuck, I'm in too far now. I'm just going to deal with it. But yeah, man, it was funny. Well, weird to think that was, you know, not really that long ago. But just humbling, really.
Yeah, and it is weird to think it wasn't that long ago. But thankfully, obviously, the world is kind of getting back on its feet. And obviously, you know, for listeners, again, obviously, Who on Earth is out April 14th. Yeah. And there is a really good, lengthy tour. I'm sure that Seán is coming somewhere near you. So obviously, head to social media, head to Seán's website. And I'd certainly encourage you to find a date, go along to a show, buy the album if you can. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Seán. Really, really has.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it, Paul.
What would be your final message for the listeners today?
I don't know. I guess my message at the moment is the thing I keep telling myself is just about staying resilient and sort of trying just staying resilient, trying to stay positive, or at least seeing the positives. Like if for instance I've got an issue with FedEx at the moment, and it was quite funny today. You know, I was chatting with one of my clients, and you know, the bloke's not in a great place at all, and there's me in his ear going like, I'm gonna find this FedEx driver, I'm gonna, you know, like whatever, I'm gonna steal his van and I'm gonna deliver my CDs to myself. And he's going like, he's laughing at me, and I'm sort of going, shit man, like, so what, the CDs are late, you know, I'm working around that. I'm gonna get up early and drive up and to meet them and pick them up myself. It's just like, there you go, it's fixed. So I think I have a tendency to throw my toys out the pram and panic and overthink and worry. And the one thing I've been doing that's really helped me is making lists, and also learning that you could just laugh at stuff, man, when it goes tits up. And there's always a way to, you know, always a way to fix something, as long as as long as you're calm enough to process it and deal with it. So my final message would be, other than buy my album, please, would be, stay calm and stay resilient and try to find the positives in it and have a laugh.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the best final messages we've had on the podcast, because it's such an important one. And yeah, obviously, absolutely wish you all the best with the tour and the album and everything coming up, Seán.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Seán McGowan. Do make sure to check out his new album, Who on Earth, which is out April 14th. And of course, follow Seán across social media to stay up to date with everything coming from him. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt, and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching or listening, because we will be back very soon with another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast.